All right, welcome back to the Northstar Method podcast, where we give you the mental skills to be at your best when it matters most. My name is Sebastian. I am the co-founder and CEO of Northstar Performance Psychology.
My name is Sean, co-founder and director of mental performance.
And sometimes you're just tapping into so much insight that there's no way you can fit it in one episode. We didn't even plan to do this, but last time we just landed on so many things that we still wanted to cover. We kind of got through Dan's journey to where he is. And today we're going to go a little more into where he's at now and the skills, routines, experiences that y'all can take home and use for yourself. So, Dan, welcome back.
Thanks. I like to yap. What can I say?
Yeah, that's hilarious. One time were we in Fort Lauderdale, and we were like hitting up some of our friends to see if they could hang out, but it was like 2 p.m. on a Wednesday. And somebody texted back like, sorry, we're not all podcasters.
Yeah. Shout out my buddy Brandon, if you're listening. I was like, "Come on, guys, let's hang out." Like, dude, we have jobs. Like, we don't podcast. And I was like, "It's not all we do."
That's what I run with now. Like if I'm introducing myself to you, I'm like, yeah, I just do a podcast. That's how.
Like, have you ever heard of Joe Rogan? That's kind of like what I do, like, pretty much.
The same. Exactly the same.
All right, so we have some questions prepared, but as always, we can naturally kind of venture off into wherever we end up going. But speaking of where you're at now, obviously, right now we've got some tour dates on the calendar. What is a day in the life kind of looking for you on tour in terms of like rest, the rhythm, and just the routine, or maybe there's no routine and it's just like a free flowing thing. What's it like?
Um, Tour life is very unique. It is this weird dichotomy of it's like Groundhog Day. Every day is exactly the same, but you're in a different city in a different venue. So the food, the scenery, the actual sound of the stage that you're playing, everything changes from day to day, but the routine is very much the same. So we drive through the night. We're on a bus, so we have a driver, and most of the driving gets done overnight. And then the bus drivers go and sleep. They get a hotel room during the day while we go play a show. So we usually load it in the morning. We'll set up. We'll do a sound check. We'll have lunch. Then usually that downtime in between sound check indoors, we do different things. In Gavin's band, we like to go to the gym. We do a lot of ice baths, so we'll bust out the cold plunge and do that. But sometimes we'll find some kind of like health spa kind of places that do like red light therapy or sauna. And we'll hit up one of those spots and do that. So that's been really cool just to get in some like recovery on the road, which I've never been able to do until now. So it's kind of cool that in this band in particular, we kind of focus on that stuff because once we get to the show, everything it's just go time, and there's a lot of adrenaline and excitement, and we go rock the show. And then afterwards, if we're staying in town for a little bit, we might go out and hang out, down the street or something after the show. So it's a long day, but at least now that getting in a little bit of that extra physical stuff, going to the gym and, getting a good ice bath, like it really makes it sustainable because the grind is hard. You think it's cake and it's, you're just doing stuff throughout the day. Nothing is too strenuous, but you're kind of having a normal day, but just traveling, being in a different environment, meeting different people every day. It gets kind of grueling. So over the course of the tour, you kind of get tired, you get more and more tired, and that recovery stuff starts to play a bigger role when we do these longer runs.
Mhm. What is typically the length of a run on tour? Because I know you may have mentioned, I forgot if we were on or off camera last week, but you said you could like kind of have a call on Wednesday night, you go through the weekend. What does that kind of typically look like?
So usually, when I tour in rock bands, it's a lot of really long runs. So we'll go out, we'll do an entire U.S. run, say over 6 weeks, play like 30 shows or something. And then you come home and then you're off for a few months. And then maybe there's like some festivals in the summer or a short run overseas. But it's typically like 3 to 4 chunks over the year. and you can kind of go back and forth, come back and do like normal life stuff for a while and then prepare to go back out on a long run. In Nashville, because we're so central to everything and we're in buses, a lot of the Nashville country artists do these weekend runs. We call weekend warriors. Like the weekend warrior in most towns is like the guy who has the 9 to 5 who plays with his band on weekends for fun. In Nashville, the weekend warriors are the pros who are going out. Usually, bus call is like, say, Wednesday night. We play Thursday, Friday, Saturday somewhere, come back, and then we wake up and we're getting home Sunday morning. Sometimes we play 4 shows, so it's like 2 to 4 shows a weekend. So you're spending, 4 nights a week on the bus.
I can imagine that. I know you mentioned like some recovery stuff, but I can't imagine sleeping on the tour bus is better than sleeping just in a house. Um, does that
You get used to it.
do you get?
You get used to it. Yeah, yeah, because we all sleep better when the bus is moving. When we're just on the road, just that kind of constant white noise, that vibration, you get used to it. But I'll notice, I'll wake up a little bit when we stop. If they have to stop and refuel and it takes a while if we're off the road for a little bit. Sometimes we get to town really early and we're parked, from like 5 a.m. on. Like the guys don't sleep as well. We like when the bus is moving. So yeah, it is something to get used to. Also, sleeping in a tiny bunk is really tough for a lot of people. Like it's very claustrophobic, and we've had like some guys like in their sleep they kind of wake up in a panic. They don't know where they are. You feel like you're trapped in the coffin. You're just being buried alive. So it's definitely an adjustment. But I take a ton of stuff to sleep on the road. I take a bunch of melatonin. I take weed gummies. So I just try to knock myself out as best I can.
Do you have like a sleep paralysis demon that just sings Gavin Adcock songs to you?
Yeah, but it's actually Gav.
Dude, that's like I feel like that's like a metaphor for life. Like I sleep better when the bus is moving. Like I can always sleep well when like the life's bus is moving. That's so corny, but that's funny. Also, there's not a single app. Like I can't think of a single sport where you would play like 30 games in that span of time, right? Like maybe like tournament sports, but like that's pretty brutal. How long do concerts like normally go for, and like what's your physical experience of playing?
Like set times,
Yeah.
like how long we
Yeah.
play for. Well, with Gavin, we headline most of the time, so it's 90-minute shows. Most of the time when I was playing punk or metal, it was like 30, 40-minute sets. So we do a very long show. We have like an acoustic section in the middle. I actually have 2 very short breaks. I take like during the acoustic songs, I get a little break, and then Gavin's biggest hit, Cigarette, is towards the end of the set where I'll jump off stage for him to play Cigarette, and then we'll come back on and a few bangers just to close out the night. But we play a pretty packed 90-minute set. We play as many songs as we can.
Dude, so yeah, I'm wondering like some athletes, some performers, they want to get hyped up. Some of them want to go and calm. And some people feel so drained after. Other people say like they can't even sleep after a game. How was that for you?
Yeah, I get amped up, man, and after the show, you just I have so much energy. I've been doing this for so long that I feel like my body is kind of used to. I ramp up throughout the day, so I'm like kind of programmed to peak at like 10 p.m. But so I'm not a great morning person. Some of those early load-ins, those early sound checks, like before a festival at 8 a.m. or something, that's rough for me. But after midnight, I've had friends say I get the zoomies. I'm like a cat or something. Like, dude, after midnight you get the zoomies. So there's something about like the late night, like you just get that energy going, and a lot of the creative stuff comes out late at night. But after a show, yeah, it can be very hard to wind down for me because that's like the show gets me going, and then it's hard to turn off. So usually, like after a show, it's like I'm trying to get to bed by like 2 or 3.
Yeah, so like the goal of the pre-game routine isn't even to get ramped up. It's honestly like to recover some, and then you're just kind of naturally amped by that.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the guys will take like a little nap before the show, like before doors. If there's a long bill, sometimes it's like during like the opening act, I'll actually like try to after dinner just lay down for a little bit and I'll go in my bunk. I don't always fall asleep. But just to rest and just kind of turn off for a little bit is good. And then like right before showtime, we, put on our stage clothes and start warming up and, start, you know, interacting with each other and getting ready to go. So yeah, it is kind of the opposite. We don't get too hyped before. It's like we're just making sure we have energy, we're well fed. You don't want to eat too close to showtime, so you're trying to like find that sweet spot of like eating a few hours before. But yeah, it's mostly just like all the whole purpose of the day is to get ready for the show, whether it's the gear and sound check or our bodies, our minds, like everything is about the show. So whatever you got to do before the show, just when we hit, like it's showtime.
And you probably at this obviously like level, you got so many reps, you seem to have a high level of awareness as to like what works for you. Like, you get the zoomies after a show, you kind of need to come down after that. This sort of like recovery routine, some of these rituals and like processes that y'all in the band do, is to like restore rather than like kind of get amped up. Um, I'm curious as to like, as speaking toward awareness, I'm curious as to your experience during a performance, kind of like where where is your focus mostly? Like, I know it's kind of on the execution of the music, but you find that like bigger crowds, maybe it's distracting, maybe there's more pressure, I don't know. Where would you, if you could best describe like your focus during a show while you're performing?
Um, there's definitely this state. There's this flow state thing that happens, and it feels like there's certain parts of my brain that are just deactivated. And on stage, I am just totally in the moment. I'm totally locked in. The crowd is not a distraction for me at all. For a lot of people, the crowd can be a distraction. For me, I love connecting with the audience. If I know the music inside and out, I'm comfortable on stage, I'm comfortable with what I'm playing, all of my attention is on the crowd. I'm looking at people, I'm singing along, like someone's pointing at me or trying to get my attention. I give them like a little moment, something back. Um, I'm running playback as well, so I'm operating the computer and doing that stuff. I'm counting off songs, so everything in between songs is me kind of paying attention to the band and making sure we're getting set. I'm the one kind of calling the plays, so I get on the talk back. I have a microphone that only goes to the bandmates, so all of that stuff happens in between the song. But once we're playing, I'm just making music. I don't think about these songs. I've played them 100 times. It's country music. It's nothing too physically demanding. It's just about a groove and a feeling and making it feel really good. But I'm taking in the surroundings. I'm looking around at the crowd. I'm seeing what's going on in the room. Like I'm trying to be as present in the moment on stage with my bandmates and with the audience. Like I'm not in my head at all, really.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You mentioned something there. Certain parts of your brain shut off and you're kind of focused a lot of times externally, kind of like what the crowd is doing, and your job is to sort of like connect with the crowd. I mean, psychologically, what is going on here is one part of your brain is active in favor of others. There's a system of cortical structures called the default mode network. And if you've ever heard of like the amygdala, this is a big part of your brain. It's like the fear center, and it's like it has to do with like processing and regulating emotions. But a lot of times when you're nervous or anxious, the amygdala, the default mode, is overactive. We find that by activating the frontal lobe, and more specifically the prefrontal cortex, um, this is what helps us get into this present moment. And an actual like tool or exercise we give for people when they're feeling stressed or anxious is we call it the 5 4 3 2 1 exercise. And it's, what are 5 things I can see in my external environment? What are 4 things that I can feel or touch? What are 3 things I could hear? 2 things I could smell? 1 thing I could potentially taste? This helps to sort of leverage that part of your mind to get present. So it sounds like you are maybe getting at that even like like in a less formal manner. So it's interesting to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, when I was younger, I've been a scuba diver since I was 13 years old. Did that for all through my childhood. And when I was younger, I studied a little bit of Tai Chi, and in those two things, I found like the exact same feeling of, um, scuba diving is all about your breathing, and that's all you can hear is like your regulars making Darth Vader noises, and there's bubbles coming out, and you just hear that repetition. And the slower you can, if you can slow down your breathing and your heart rate, you can conserve air and then have a longer dive. So an experienced diver, you're trying to extend that bottom time, and it's really about that breath control. But what you're doing is meditation, and you're doing this breath work, and the byproduct of like just being a good diver is like you come up feeling like it, like you just went to like a meditation retreat or something. And Tai Chi gave me that same feeling very early on when I first experienced it as a teenager. I was like, oh wow, there's like a lot of power here. But the stage does the same thing. It's very much that.
Dude, that's fascinating, specifically with the flow state, because people, if they ever experience it, it's generally like it just happens. Like, I don't really know why it happens or how I got there. But you made a very clear connection. Like, I see now looking back how other experiences I had, diving, Tai Chi, like these things play into my ability to be present and get into the flow. And we want people to know that like that is up to you. You do get a choice in when you get into that state. And it is in the whole day leading up and what you do there. But it's also like what you do in that moment. What most people don't know about flow too is that the guy who wrote the book basically was saying that this isn't just like a state to get into to perform better. This is the key to like taking your life back. And especially now, living in a world with so many distractions, so many ideas of what you should be doing and what's right or wrong, learning to control your consciousness is what allows you to act independent of those like social or biological incentives. So you're tapping into all of that when you're doing your craft. Also curious about. I remember last episode that you mentioned something about Zen. I don't know if that's like like tied to the Tai Chi, or what does that kind of mean for you?
Um, I think it's about presence and connecting to what you're doing. Cooking is this very you get this immediate feedback, and if you are distracted and you're not paying attention and you're forgetting about stuff and you're in the weeds and you're scrambling around, the food doesn't taste as good. But it's like, oh, I got this like dinner date. I'm like cooking for someone very special tonight. I'm gonna spend hours, like I'm gonna put so much intention and focus into this thing and all this love, and the direct result is always more delicious. It's just like you put in those inputs and you get these outputs. So I just think like Zen is about just connecting. And what you said, there's so many distractions now. People are more disconnected than they've ever been. We're all so inundated with information and notifications, and it's those slow, process oriented things that bring you back. And when you're on stage, there's for me, it feels now that there's just a switch, and I I can't say that there's this whole method to getting into it, and this routine that I go through to get there. It's literally when we play that Sexy Red walkout song, as soon as my like that crowd starts cheering as we walk out on stage, it's just on. It's just there. And I think the only way I can explain that is just the experience. It's the reps. It's all those being over all of the stage fright, getting past all of those mental blocks, and I can just truly be happy and be free in that moment. But I at this point I don't have a formula. Sometimes like my parents are at the show and I'm trying to find them parking 15 minutes before I go on and I don't get to warm up or I miss the band prayer or something. Like there's all kinds of variables every night, but as soon as I hit that stage, it's all good. We're just going.
That's interesting you said, and some of our listeners may remember this from a past episode we had on the science of flow. It's an episode we talked about. You mentioned literally one of the key indicators of a flow state, which is immediate feedback. And when you're fully immersed in an activity and your focus is totally on the present moment, totally on the execution of your process, then your mind is able to perceive the outcome of your actions and the result. And from there, if you're fully in the moment, and mindfulness, I guess, is defined as like paying attention to the present moment on purpose without judgment. And this without judgment thing is really big because let's say you screw up or you make a wrong move, like let's say you hit a cymbal instead of the snare, you're going to be like, oh shit, like, okay, don't do that, make an adjustment. But it's without judgment. It's just like, oops, all right.
Happens every night.
Yeah, exactly. And I probably wouldn't even tell. Like, because if you're able to just kind of be like, all right, adjust, you flow. It's like this Bruce Lee quote we always use is just be like water. And if water's flowing down the stream and there's a rock in the way, it doesn't like neurotically react to the rock. It diverts pathways so that it can continue to flow downstream. Kind of the same way that we should be flowing. No, I guess it's no pun intended. It's so like intertwined that there's no pun. It's just like that's what flowing is.
And it's kind of the nature of going to a concert. It's a live performance.
Yeah.
We don't get to go, hold on, I hit a bad note. Let's take that one from the top. It's all live. It's all in the moment. It's one shot. And I would always tell people like, my students, when they start playing shows and they get nervous, they say, you're playing thousands of notes in this show. Like there might be a couple bad ones, but it's just a moment and it's gone. Like as soon as you play, I hit the rim on that drum. It's like it's already gone. No one's thinking about it. It's fine. So yeah, I think a lot of people can get caught up on mistakes, but I think that's kind of the beauty of it. Is it's like that the Japanese like the wabi sabi thing. It's like perfectly imperfect, and like not everything. Like I play perfect shows where I just like note for note, but some of the most fun shows I've had were like a little more chaotic and stuff went wrong, and my cymbal fell off the stand or something crazy happened, or you break sticks in the middle of a big fill or something. You laugh about it. The bass player saw it. He's laughing at you. We all get a good laugh, and we keep going. Like that's the really fun stuff. Is like just interacting with like these moments that are happening every night. I'd rather have a show like that than like just play a flawless like note for note show and nothing went wrong, it was good. Like where's the fun in that?
You know, you said like, okay, well, I don't really know the method here. I just know this is when it happens and this is what the experience is. But last episode and now in your description of flow, we're just seeing all the stuff that we teach people to get into it. So you just have an intuitive understanding of it, and still it takes reps. But like you have the right ingredients, which you kind of just picked up, whether through music experience or other things, and probably through basically coaching students who go to play live, right? I mean, you're doing that vicariously through them, helping them get ready for the experience. So when people hear that, this is something that takes reps, but also it's hard to figure out the ingredients, like that's the whole point of the show here, is to reverse engineer that experience and turn it into stuff that people can actually take step by step. Something we want to do is so we're working on a bunch of like guided meditations, breath work, stuff like that, specifically for a certain domain. And so somebody like you could create a playlist of like your favorite, like, this is the meditation that I do, or you could even make a custom one, which gives people a really easy way to kind of just like follow along, reverse engineering that process.
Yeah, I think that those kind of tools are really good for a lot of people, and I think you have to find whatever works for you. And trying all those different things is the way that you find it. I would listen to a certain song. I would do all this stuff. Like we would, light incense or something. Like I was in a punk band. We would all paint our nails before the show. It was like this act of solidarity. We were all into, like, we wanted to have all these cool rituals just for the sake of doing it. And then you get out into the world, and like the more experience you get, the more you realize like you need less and less of that stuff as you go on. But I think a lot of that for me was deliberate training. I actually had a studio for a year where I set up different drum sets very, very differently, like extreme, very hard to play setups. And I had a bucket of sticks of all different sizes. And I would go in there and I would grab any two sticks mismatched. I would play barefoot. I'd play in socks. I'd play in flip flops. And I was just trying to break my need for any ritual. I wanted to be comfortable being uncomfortable. I was in situations where I would sit in on other people's kits and I'd be so uncomfortable that I couldn't really do my thing because it wasn't my drum set up to my body. And it was embarrassing. And I'm like, I wish I could just be comfortable being uncomfortable. So I spent a year deliberately messing with my comfort zone. And then after that, like, it just doesn't matter anymore. It's just like, what sticks do I have? What shoes am I wearing? Like, is this lights in my face? Like, um, all of that I had to like, beat out of myself by training. It all just comes down to preparation and work.
It's funny, like we find that people try to do everything they can to control the situation, right, and control the outcome. And it's kind of hammered into our brains, especially in grad school, the difference between like a routine and a ritual. And thinking about like a routine and a ritual is almost more like superstitious, where it's like if I don't do this, it goes to shit. And really what it comes down to is like you're preparing your mind, like what a routine and a ritual does, like mentally and physically prepares you for whatever it is. Now, if you have 10,000 shows under your belt, you know how to play. Like you know how to play each song, and this kind of need to control the situation and be able to let go and just kind of take it as it goes. As you mentioned, if the cymbal falls off, you hit the rim, like, hey, that is something that I've been through before, and I can make this adjustment now. And it doesn't have anything to do with external factors. Like you trust yourself, and you're able to execute from your own actual ability. Um, so yeah, just an interesting point.
Yeah, so last year I got a call from some good buddies of mine. It's this band called Capstan. They're based in Orlando, Florida. They are like very eclectic rock band. It's like if you took every genre like on Warped Tour and mixed them together, like they're pop punk to metalcore to like very progressive metal, like very eclectic guys. Their own musical taste is all over the place, and they all write together, so they make this very dense, intense music. Anyway, they're good homies. Last year I get a call, and the drummer Scott, he and his wife are having their first baby, and they had this tour coming up, and the baby was due like right in the middle of that tour, and he's just like, I can't miss the birth of my firstborn. So he they called me to do the tour, and it was about 3 months out, and I was actually with my dad at the time, and I didn't take the gig right away. I got off the phone, I took the offer, and I was sitting next to my dad, and I told him, and he's like, "Oh, it's great. You gonna do it?" I'm like, I don't know. I I physically can't right now. Like I can't play the way Scott plays. I haven't been playing. I've never really been in like a metal band. I was doing this punk stuff. Um, but the music is very, very dense, technically extremely difficult, and I didn't want to say yes if I couldn't kick ass at it, and I was scared, and it was 3 months out, and my dad goes, "Yeah, so you're gonna do it?" And I said, I really don't know if I'm capable. Like, honestly, like, I'm scared to say I would love to do it. And I said, it's 3 months out. He said, do you think you could do it in 3 months? Shit. I would have to practice every day for 3 months to even have a chance. And even then, I'm not even sure if I come out of the other those 3 months and it's like it's okay, it's not great, or if I'm gonna really be able to pull it together. So he said, well, can you practice every day for 3 months? I said, yeah. He said, you want to do it? I said, yeah. He said, fucking call him back, take the gig, and start practicing. I'm like, you're right, you're right.
Man.
And I was terrified. I was so scared. And I was actually visiting my family in North Carolina, and he's got a drum set in the basement. And that night, I went down the basement. I started working on one of the songs that I knew they were going to play. Um, and I go home. I practice every day for 3 months, multiple times a day. I would get up, work on a section of a song. Like first thing, it would be, I'd come home from work and I'd play through the set one time. And I practiced in all different ways. I had transcriptions, which was super great. I was memorizing the parts. Some of the double bass stuff is so technical, and I knew I played it differently than Scott in terms of rights and lefts. So he's playing this pattern one way. I'm playing the exact same notes, but I have to find how best works with my body, how I can execute it my way. So I'm looking at videos of him and adapting some of what he does and putting some of my stuff in it. Anyway, it took 3 months, and then I showed up to rehearsal in Orlando before we left for tour, and we played the set once together, and the guys like all look at each other and they're like, "All right, you want to get some dinner?" And they're like, dude, you got it note for note. You crushed it. It's fine. And then we went out and played 26 shows together. And I wanted to see how long it would take for me to feel really comfortable on stage. It's one thing to learn it at home. It's another whole challenge to go play it in rehearsal. And for the guys who wrote those songs to all be looking at me and seeing how I do on the first time, that's in a way that's scarier than any show. But then taking it on the road, being in a different place, being in front of these fans, and playing this very technical music where I'm not just grooving, enjoying the music. Like I really have to focus on the execution. So it's even a whole different part of playing music mentally. And it was 3 shows. It was the third show. I had some friends in the crowd, and they were cheering me on. And that was the first night that I started having fun playing it. And then we went and played, we played 26 shows total. So it was really the time of my life. It was like one of my favorite tours I've ever done, the coolest music that I've ever gotten to play. But yeah, when I got that call, I was scared shitless. And I really deeply believed in my heart that like I wasn't the guy for the job. I didn't think I could actually pull it off. But when you set a goal and you give yourself like a high goal, but also like a really hard time constraint, it's like there's no procrastination. I can't put this off for a week. I can't take time off. I have to get to this finish line by this date. I have to complete this process. And I proved to myself that I could do it. And that tour was about a year ago, and I'll be able to play those songs for the rest of my life. They're so ingrained now that I can play all that stuff second nature. Whereas like a year and a half ago, I was scared shitless to even try it.
Dude, that is, first of all, that's incredible, right? And people don't see this. People don't know that this is happening. When you're like in the NFL, there's a training camp. Practice is like tailored to the defense of the other team for the offense, and you have a scout team running it. Like, you don't have to simulate the environment and create the training yourself. That's a huge mental load, just aside from the physical toll of actually practicing it so much. So you have to design your own training camp and a 3-month runway to do that. I mean, dude, first of all, Capstan, incredible music. Check them out. But I actually think that like metal, hardcore, melodic hardcore, these genres are maybe the most technical musically next to like classical music. So to go in and do that, and then to give yourself that like, I want to see, I'm not thinking of myself at least primarily like, oh, I wonder when I'm going to first fuck up. I'm thinking to myself, I want to see when I'm going to start having fun. And you describe that moment of the boys looking back at you and just like, it's not even like, it almost would have been more concerning if they were like, oh yeah, dude, like, great job, dude. Yeah, that's awesome. They were just like, yeah, you did it. You did it.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. And as a hired gun, that's always the goal, is like, especially like the first gig with someone new, is that moment where you see everyone kind of look at each other and go like, "Eh, we're good, we're good." That's my job, is to make everyone else feel at ease that, they brought someone new. And same thing with Gavin. I was filling in, and they just threw me in front of, these huge crowds on no rehearsal, and it was just go. But like I could feel where the rest of the band goes, "Oh, we're straight. All right. Awesome."
What's that?
And that's my joy, is I like to deliver that. It's like I want everyone else around me. If you hire me, it's fine. You don't got to worry about it.
Hmm. What's that saying? It's like deadlines spur action or like results or whatever. That very much took place, it sounds like. But you said like you give yourself a goal, you give yourself a deadline, and things become a little bit more clear. It's like in order for me to give myself, excuse me, the best chance at being able to do this, I have to lock in on the execution of my process. And I can't think about the result 3 months from now. I have to practice every single day. These are the actions that is going to get me there. This is almost, you think about like goal setting as a big topic in psychology. We often use this New Year's resolution analogy where it's like, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to eat healthier, I want to make more money, whatever. Maybe I want to be good enough to play in this band. Um, but no one sets these actual process goals, is what we call them, which is these goals are achieved by the execution of your process. If you practice every single day this week, then you've met that goal. By setting these goals in a more kind of short-term way, you leverage your dopamine system to release dopamine, which not only feels good to complete the goal, but it's actually highly involved in your motivation system for you to want to actually set more goals to get closer to the outcome. So maybe you're practicing an hour a day for a week. You crush that. Maybe you move it to 2. You crush that. Maybe you move it to 4. You crush that. And so
Oh yeah.
it's interesting to think about like you can leverage your dopamine system to help you achieve goals easier if you just like think about it a little bit.
Yeah, and the only reason that I knew that that would work and how to do that is I did an experiment. It was several years ago. I got into a band called Intervals. Very guitar driven music. Most of their career they were instrumental, and it's just like shreddy as guitar playing. And there was a song, they had a new album out, and I heard this song. I saw a YouTube video of this guy, and I thought it was such a cool song. I really wanted to learn it. And I was convinced that there's just no amount of practice that will allow me to play that song full speed, clean. Like I'm just not that good a guitar player. Like it's impossible. I bought the book, and I did a little experiment. I was curious. If I work on this every day, could I? I wanted to prove to myself that I couldn't. I wanted to prove to just like I practiced it for like a month, and I'm like, oh, so that's the difference. Like that's the thing that makes Aaron Marshall such a legendary, amazing guitar player, is that, no matter how hard I work, like he's still up here. So I I bought the guitar book, which had this like software, and I could practice it on my computer with MIDI, and you could loop sections, you could slow it down. So I made up a game. I like to gamify things. I like to make up a little game to compete with myself and set up like these little parameters like you're talking about. And the game I was making was like, I started at 50%. I would learn a section, and if I could loop it and play it like 3 times in a row perfectly and not lose focus, not make a mistake, then I would bump it up 1%. And then I would play it at 51% speed. And then as I started to get the sections memorized, I would practice bigger chunks so I could get the transitions between those little sections. Then once I had the whole thing kind of memorized, I would start to do full song runs. And just like once I started doing the full song runs, I had to bring the speed down again and then start building it back up. So I wanted to see if I could get to 100% clean, full speed. And it took me 2 weeks. I thought at the beginning of those 2 weeks that it was impossible, that I couldn't do it no matter how much time. And in 2 weeks, I had the song down. And it was really that momentum you were talking about. I never sat down and practiced it for like 5 hours. It was like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, a half hour. Like I was obsessed with it. I would come home, the first thing I'd do, like, let me work on this one section. I was thinking about the creative visualization. I fully believe that mental reps are reps. If I'm sitting there, I'm laying in bed, I'm thinking about this bridge section and all the movements because playing something fast is just, it's a mental execution of notes. You have to be able to hear that fast. It's not how fast you can physically play because a lot of people can play very, very fast sloppily. It's because they can't hear the notes played cleanly at that speed. If you can't process the notes mentally, you can never play it physically. So it was obsessing over it and thinking about it all day, every day, and practicing in these little chunks, and just like relentless and making these games and building building a routine, building these steps. And I went through the process and I totally surprised myself. And it was like 2 weeks, I can nail it. And then if I stopped playing it for like 2 days, like it was like right at the edge of my ability. Like I had to keep it going to just stay there. Even now, it's like I kind of remember it. That's like I'd hack my way through it now. Like that, it was so at the edge of my ability. But if I just did it for 20 minutes, say 3 times a day for 2 weeks, I can do anything. And that changed my whole approach to music. And that was the main reason that I ended up taking that Capstan gig is because I kind of proved to myself, it's like,
You can learn.
if you actually do it every day, like there's nothing I can't learn. My technique is there. I just if the music's very challenging, then it's gonna take longer. But I can get there if I put the time in. It's just guaranteed. So it took this experiment to really prove to myself what is actually possible. And what you find is like you can really surprise yourself and do things that you never thought you were capable of with like not a ton of effort. Like practicing a song on guitar a few times a day for 2 weeks is not that crazy a commitment, but like it worked. So I think it's a really valuable lesson in like what's really possible.
It's a really, really valuable lesson. And I'm forgetting what this like old adage is, but you know, you think about, oh, it's going to take way too long or way too much effort, or like you said, like it's never even going to happen. You find that you've built up this impossibility, like alleged impossibility, in your head because of how far you perceive yourself to be away, whereas all you're thinking about is like again the destination being so far, not the direction that you want to turn the boat to use your analogy, to actually move, a foot forward. You find
Literally 1% every
right,
time.
yeah,
It was literally 1% every time. I mean, you can't make this shit up.
literally 1% every time, and time is going to go fucking by anyway. Like even let's say a longer span, like 2 weeks is going to occur. It's like you said, if you take 20 minutes a day, now you know how to play this awesome song. If you just bullshitted around and did nothing, 2 weeks still went by, and now you just have less talent or whatever. And you think about like a year. I think about myself is like people like give up and when faced with spinal cord injury recovery, because it's like God, like to gain function back below my level of injury, it's supposed to be impossible depending on the severity of your injury. So fuck it, I'm just gonna try to like do the what I can to adapt, and that's like fine. But you find if you can bust your ass in the gym or in physical therapy or whatever for a year, now you can like use your abdominals. Or now you can actually have these functional gains, and that time's going by anyway. So I don't know. I feel like it's like, why not? Right?
Yeah, might as well apply it to something good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, and in order for that to happen, there can't be the result focused. That's the shift to, well, I might as well use this time because even if I don't get the result, just doing it in this time is going to have some benefit anyways. I found it really interesting. You mentioned like being able to hear the music fast enough compared to being able to play it fast. I remember when I first started playing, first like 3 songs I learned, it was like Back in Black, Brain Stew, and then Sweet Child of Mine, which is definitely a tougher song than the first two.
Yeah.
And I remember going to learn to play that intro riff, and naturally figuring it out by ear, then looking at the tabs and realizing I'm like skipping like 3 or 4 notes in that little riff. Like, not, I literally couldn't even hear it. So there's almost this like part of mastery is not just doing the thing. It's also this like deep appreciation that allows you to perceive the thing in a whole different way. And people say the game slows down for them. Like they're processing the uh, sensations and the input more like accurately due to being tuned into that frequency. And I was also tying that back to how you were talking about when you put intention into your action, like you're cooking, and people always say that food that's made with love tastes better. Like going to that local restaurant, you know, like your mom's cooking, there's a reason it's different. Music is like so it's vibrational. Like you're literally creating a
Yeah.
frequency for people to hear. And so you being able to hear that frequency and listen to a deeper level of it to not miss any of the beats, and then putting that same intention into creating the music or playing the music creates a whole different experience than I guess somebody could if they didn't have that level of like, I don't even know what to call it, that just kind of instinct for the vibration.
Yeah, it's alchemy.
That
It really is. It's this magical process. I don't know. I think it's something so um it's such an essential part of being human. I think it's just part of that's just who we are. That's what we do. You know, if you go, we're hunter gatherers, right? We barely got one foot out of the cave, really. Um, but what do we do? Like, you know, it's like we have this household, this tribe, and you know, we have this community, and you know, we go out and we hunt, and we bring back the meat, and we cook the meat, and what do? We make a fire, and we all come to celebrate, and we celebrate this successful hunt, and we cook this food, and we feed it ourselves and each other, and then we sing and dance, and we celebrate, we party. Partying is a very important part of being human, right? So when you have these humans around the fire, everyone's doing something different, right? Some people, you know, maybe someone's playing a drum and holding down a beat. There's people dancing, there's people singing and chanting. Then there's people that are just watching. They're just there for vibes. They're just chilling. And all of those roles are so important. And when we play a concert, it's the same thing. We're dancing around the fire. We're celebrating life. It's this communion. It's this ritual that brings us together, that connects us with each other. And that's why I'm so focused on the crowd when I'm playing, because it's like, this is this like pure celebration of life. And that's why I think, like, you know, with all the digital stuff going on, like live music is thriving. And it's such a big thing right now because I think people, they want that connection. And the beautiful thing in country music is that these crowds sing along so loud. They sing every single word at these shows. And even deep cuts, even songs that like just came out or like not even out yet, that like Gavin just teased, they're like mouthing along the first chorus, and by the third chorus they're singing at the top of their lungs. Like, I see how people are connecting with the music and connecting with each other. So like, I'm just playing one role in this celebration. I'm just doing one part of it. So it's not us on stage projecting like outward and we're showing you like our chops and like, here's our music, listen to me. It's no, we're all here doing this thing. I'm just holding down the beat so everyone else can dance and sing and have fun, you know? So it's like, it's all just part of this bigger purpose that I think is like, it's like the most human shit we can do. Like, it really connects to some primal thing for me. And I think it's very important. I think as society gets crazier and crazier, it's like that kind of connection is very important.
it's beautiful, dude. That's just like I've never thought about it that way. It's like we are almost like recreating a simulated successful hunt, if you will. And yeah, I mean, music is just like vibes, like Sebastian said, and I don't know, I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, frankly, but it's a beautiful analogy or like connection to be made, rather.
The
Yeah, and I think sports is the same thing. There's something about the performance in in front of a crowd. Um, if the Super Bowl was played in a park with just the players like playing a pickup game, it
Yeah.
wouldn't be that exciting. They'd be the best players in the world, but the spectacle is part of it. So the stadium full of screaming fans, and the millions of people watching on TV creates the drama for these guys to perform, like it's part of the whole thing. So I think it applies to a lot of things.
the relationship and like the meaning that people have with their favorite team and their favorite bands, like it saves lives. I mean, people talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
And there are entire relationships and families that in those rough times where those ties might have been severed, they could still at least bond on their hometown team. And certainly music is something that brings a feeling and a sensation to you that you can't call up in any other way. So we use these practices to basically to heal, like the frequencies that are coming from the music. And we talk about entrainment. When an orchestra plays together, their heart rate, their HRV syncs up, their pupils dilate to the same size. When you're hearing a live show, that's happening too. So we're co-regulating our nervous system essentially. And you tied it to like an evolutionary perspective. After a hunt, right? It's like, damn, this is tough, but we're in it together. We got all of that stuff locked up in here. You can only say so much. You can only think your way through so much. It's the reason that talk therapy only works for 40% of the people that go to it, because most of what's really important to healing and growing is in your body, and music is probably the most accessible way to do that. I also wanted to mention that idea of frequencies being important because uh, you're right. You're not just sending a signal out; it's bouncing all back
It's a
into your
circuit.
brain.
Yeah.
It's a circuit, exactly,
Yeah.
and it's almost like this battery that charges up. Our brain waves are frequencies, right? And we talk about binaural beats. It's something that I use all the time to focus. You put on a certain frequency, helps you tune into that and lock into that. Um, I'm curious because you play different genres and you have a pretty big range in that regard. Like, how do you feel that the vibrations or the frequencies or the energy of different genres impact? Oh, we got a guest.
What's up? Yeah, we got two guys.
Yeah, this is Curry. This is Curry, aka Steph Curry.
What's up, bro?
He just wants food. It's all like
Hey, he's feeling the vibe.
so. So you're saying the different genres,
Mm.
Yeah, like
like
how does the vibe of the song like shape your experience or the vibe of the concert or the band? Like,
um when people connect with the music, like when you're playing original music for fans who love the music, it's the same. It's exactly the same. It's, the vibe is different when, you're playing covers in a bar or something, or, like you're playing like some kind of state fair or something where people are like walking by and like half paying attention. You're like you're like just entertainment at that point. But like any show where like there's fans who know the music and love the music and they're interacting with it, uh it's exactly the same. It's amazing how much Gavin's fans have really opened my eyes to that because punk's always been very, very passionate. Like, people I have song lyrics tattooed on my body. Like I've played in small punk bands that we meet fans that have tattoos of our lyrics and stuff like that. Like there's a way that these like emo fans like really identify with the music, and it's such an important thing. Um, that I always knew that was there. Like that's why that was the thing that made me want to play music because I saw that and I was like, this is so cool. But these country shows, and specifically Gavin connects with his fans in a way that it's unlike anything I've ever seen. The closest thing I can relate it to is when I was a teenager coming up in South Florida, there was a band that was a little bit older than me. They're called Dashboard Confessional, and the singer Chris Carrabba, he played these shows acoustic guitar, and like the fans are just drowning him out. Like people are crying singing these songs. It was this really really heavy like emo thing, this acoustic, angsty emo music. And he blew up because he had this power that the shows were so intense. And Gavin shows are the closest thing I've seen to that in my career. So it's really the same. When I hear thousands of people singing "Cigarette," I get off stage and I take out my ears and I listen to the crowd, and it never gets old. It's just like it's like Chris Carrabba, 25 years ago. It's crazy how he kind of taps into that thing. So I don't think it's a genre thing. I think it's about any kind of pop music where you people relate to the lyrics. I think that's the ultimate thing. Is like if people really relate to the lyrics, they feel those songs and they give you that energy back, and you can feel it on stage. Like the fans are giving us even more than we're giving them. But it's about the connection to the music. I think it's universal.
Yeah. So, all right. So, we wanted to finish this episode with a segment. We have a page called Northstar Reacts. It's an opportunity that just give like a little psychological perspective on stuff that goes on in pop culture and just like draw those lines for people. So we have like two clips about musicians talking about the mental side. But I guess before we jump to that, uh, speaking of, I mean, that's a huge uh, support of Gavin and kind of what he's doing. I mean, does anything else come to mind that you want to share about just being on tour with him, or maybe how he got that way? I mean,
Gavin is a mystery to me in so many ways. He was a
so I said, I don't know.
he was a he was a college football player who blew out his knee and started writing some songs, and the first song that he ever released went gold, and it'll probably go platinum pretty soon. Yeah, "Ain't No Cure" is the first song he ever let out. It's the first song. So I told him early on, I'm like, dude, I'm the oldest one in the band. I'm the OG. I'm like, dude, I'm 40 years old. I've been doing this for 30 years, man. I've been in so many bands. So many times we thought we were gonna make it, or we had this great song that no one cared about, and like I was telling him, like, you don't know how freaking lucky you are. Like, just this doesn't happen. But his poise and command of the position he's in is really really impressive to me. He has this undeniable star power that just when he walks in the room you feel it. He's just different. Um, so I think he's very deserving of all the success he's had. But one of the first shows that we played, I was watching him, and he's he's singing a song, and people are sticking these people in the front are sticking their phones in his face, and he's recording Snapchats and giving it back, and he's like signing, he's like trying to he's taking someone's in and packing one of those and throwing it back, and he's signing autographs, and he's doing all this stuff while he's singing, and doesn't miss a beat, doesn't mess up a lyric, like just keeps and doesn't get rattled at all. And I've played all these shows. I bring all this experience to the table, and like he's still like brand new at this thing, and he's so naturally good at it that it just blows my mind. So I think like some people just have this thing that is very attractive and powerful, and he's got that thing. And I think when we come to town and we put on a show, like people feel that when he comes out on stage, like the way he commands that stage, the way he is in that spotlight. Not everyone is cut out for it. I've been with some great bands where like the front man just doesn't have that level of charisma, and the music's great, like everything else could be awesome, but like his success is from that energy, that power that he has. So it's not about reps, it's not about the chops, it's not about any of that. It's about his rawness and his authenticity and the how big his personality is. That is what people love about him. So it's the complete opposite process and journey from mine. And I just look at him, I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, how, I've written 1,000 songs that no one cares. How do you write that? I was like the first one, like, go gold. Like, how does that happen? But, he tapped into some kind of zeitgeist thing. I think, the personality of our fan base, they really relate to who he is and what he stands for and what he shows on social media. And what he shows on social media is him. Like, that's just Gavin. So, yeah, he's just different, man. He's a star. That's all I can say.
It sounds like if you're hearing this, you should get out to a Gavin Adcock show if he's coming to town. As
100%.
just to plug the boy.
Yeah,
I think that authenticity, like that's, you're comparing like your path to his, and they are totally different. But also, it's like what it converges at the same place, which is now I can let go of everything and just be me. And like I think that's where we're trying to get. You're not trying to figure out who you are so much as you are trying to let go of all the stuff that gets in the way of just expressing who you are. And I think that's a big thing for people today, especially people that want to be a performer of some kind. It's like I have to acquire all this and do all this, and then I can be that, like we touched on last time. But really, it's like stripping it back. And you said that earlier about the exercises and the skills too. Like I'm not optimizing my life and trying to be perfect. I'm trying to figure out what works for me. And once I get that kind of like ingrained in me, then I can let go of the tools. We don't want people to be just like leaning on tools and routines and being so rigid that it's like, if I don't do this, I'm not going to be okay. We want them to get to the point where it's like, I'm using the tool to go in my brain, make this switch, and then let it go and let go of the expectations and let go of the rigidity and just be able to be who I am so that I can connect with the people around me. And I can express myself fully through my performance and through the way I carry myself.
Yeah, it's like it's like making a trail. If you're walking the same path, through a park or something, and everyone keeps cutting across like this, through this grass, across this like between these two sidewalks or something. And the more people do it, you wear this pathway into the ground. You could see where all these people like took the same route in the grass, like, it made a path because of so much, in that one spot. And it's the same thing mentally. It's just like, if you're doing it for the first time, it's like, I think all those tools help you kind of start making that pathway. But the more you walk it, the more you go through that process, the more you flip that switch, it becomes more reliable and that pathway becomes really clear, and your brain just knows what to do because it is familiar. So I think that's kind of where I hit and where all of those nerves go away and everything, because that switch, that direct, I can get into that mind state to perform. It's such a well-worn pathway that like it's just there on demand now. But it takes the practice of figuring out what that is, like you said, and building those habits to get there.
Dude, I mean, it's literally what neuroplasticity is. Like you're creating those ridges in your brain, just like the path in the grass. And too many people think that, okay, well, if I do it a few times and it doesn't work, then it must not work for me. But you would never bench once and then think that you were going to put up 250. So we want to remind people that it's a labor of love and it's a labor of hate. Sometimes you don't want to do it. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes you get to the end of an exercise or skill or practice and you just don't feel connected at all, but you still show up again, and eventually it's a new ridge in your brain. It's not something you have to think about. That's what mastery is. That's how people get to really being themselves and being able to share that with the world, which, if there's anything that could be like a general purpose, if you don't feel like yours is defined, you don't know what your goals are, you don't know exactly what you want, whatever it is just going to be a vehicle for sharing your genuine, authentic self and energy with the world, which is the greatest gift that you can give. certainly in
Amen.
crowds, but also to the people around you. So yeah, what do y'all say that we just take a look at these clips and then, bring them?
Yeah. I don't even know what this is. You didn't tell me about this. Let's go.
It's ended.
Let's go to Northstar Reacts. It's not Northstar game plan, so yeah.
It's not Northstar. Plan your response beforehand. You're not.
I love it. Let's go.
Let's see. We got
on the internet, not posting on TikTok and all of that, where maybe to the outside person it was probably cringy.
Yes.
But it was by like relentlessly putting yourself out there, eventually it's gonna catch on. But
You've got to big up yourself. You know what I mean?
you have to embrace the cringe, and someone that
all right, so John Summit, producer, DJ, talking about cringe, maybe just
Right.
like the vulnerability of being a artist.
Yeah.
What do you what is your experience been with that? And he mentions like I didn't know when you were coming up it probably was a little bit different. He's like, posting a bunch of performance clips on TikTok and like worry about like, oh, are people gonna think this is cringe? Maybe it looked a little different from you. What's your experience been like dealing with embracing the cringe?
Yeah, I think being into punk rock early on is like it's kind of it's a counterculture thing. So it was always like, yeah, we're like the weird kids and we're into this this like thing on the side here, and like the style was different than like the average person, and like it was always about kind of embracing the cringe. It's kind of like part of the ethos. It's like just being like unapologetically yourself. So that's part of what attracted me with music to begin with, because the music that got my attention was really focused on that. I think nowadays there's so much polish on everything, especially in country music, that I think people are now really craving and embracing anything that's like less so, and like there's something about the way Tyler Childers' voice cracks that is the coolest fucking thing ever, and it's beautiful. Could they have gotten a better take? Yeah, but that perfect break in his voice is like that's the juice, that's the magic. So I think yeah, it's got juice. It's got juice. So it's not cringe. I think it's character, and I think it's being individual, like it's being real and being unique. And I think now it's more important than ever.
We always talk about like you can only meet other people as deeply as you've met yourself. And so if you have a limit to how vulnerable you're okay with being, like you need to be perceived a certain way to feel like you're going to be accepted or whatever it is, then when you see other people not having that filter, it triggers something in you where you're like, oh yeah, like I'm cringing at that. But it's basically just another form of judgment, right? Like we only judge things that we're afraid of seeing in ourselves. And so if you really want to be able to be authentic and vulnerable in the way that art requires, or even sport, that's an opportunity. Like every time that you see somebody and you're like, oh fuck, like, that makes me feel uncomfortable. You ask yourself, what am I afraid of here? Like, what do I think people would think of me if I was doing that? And what am I not saying about myself that I know is so true for me because I'm afraid of people's reactions. Those little moments that it comes up. It's like when we were talking about, mistakes being an entry point for flow, or being down or behind in the count being an opportunity to lock in. Now every bad thing, every uncomfortable feeling that I have, I don't avoid it. I embrace it because it's an opportunity to bring it up and let it out.
Yeah, and cringe is other people's insecurities. It's like, what is it? I'm an acquired taste. If you don't like me, acquire some taste. It's on you. It's your problem. I'm out here doing my thing.
That's good.
All right, we got one more to get the perspective on. This is Kendrick, love him or hate him. Um,
Love it.
this was interesting.
Super Bowl with this?
I wasn't thinking about no Super Bowl.
You never thought about the Super
I
Bowl?
wasn't thinking about no Super Bowl for sure. We was thinking about the best verse and how we gonna split this $5 at Church's Chicken or something like that. It wasn't no Super Bowl. Going to the studio and getting a meal. But I think what I know is the passion I have now is still the passion I had then. And I think that carried on to the Super Bowl. So it was all about being present. As long as I was present in the studio and present in whatever that line was or whatever that mistake was, uh, rapping or doing hooks or choruses or whatnot, I was present in that moment. I felt that passion. I think being present and not actually foreseeing everything kept me in a grounded state of mind.
Did you ever think we'd be at the Super Bowl with this?
Thoughts?
I mean, that's everything that we've been saying, right? And I think success is what happens when you just put your head down and you're doing the thing. That goal oriented, or results, oriented thinking is really tough and puts a lot of undue pressure, but all this stuff happens when you just do good work. And I've always said, with my career as a hired gun, it's like, I just try to do good work and let one thing lead to another. And I hope that my work speaks for itself. So, I've never really marketed myself that hard. I just try to do good work. So, you know, if he was focused on getting a Super Bowl gig, it never would have happened, right? But those verses, had so much love and intention put into him that that's what made him a legend that got a Super Bowl gig. So yeah, it's the process. It's never the destination. It's always the journey. And there was a Blake Griffin commercial like 15 years ago that was something like, he said something like, fall in love with the process of becoming great. You have to fall in love with, and I could be paraphrasing, but falling in love with the process of becoming great. It's not just, I want to be great and I'm looking for all this validation that's going to tell me I'm great. It's, you got to love the journey. Um, and you got to love the struggle. And if you're playing these small gigs, you got to put all that passion into it because it's the same as the big gigs. That's what no one tells you. That's what I learned when I played Hard Rock Stadium. I'm like, it's just another gig. It's just a bigger room. The production is different. The catering is better, but if you don't like playing in a small club for 50 people, you're not going to like playing a stadium of 50,000 people. It's the same thing. So if you really fall in love with the process and are happy with where you are, happy with what you're doing now, you might not be as good as you hope to be, or you want to be a champion and you're training to get there. If you don't love and embrace what you're doing right now and know that it is part of the journey, and that if you just keep doing that, you will get to a better place, then it's all going to be a struggle. And I think a lot of people have a hard time letting go of that. There was this Thomas, who Thomas Pridgen is? He's a drummer. He was in Mars Volta. He's playing with Fever 333 now. Sid drummer. There was this interview where he said, he's like, when I played drums to make money, I didn't make money. He goes, when I played drums because I loved playing drums, I made money, won a Grammy, and bought a fucking house. Like, he just, like, the way he said it was so cool. He's like, if you're focused on the other shit, but it doesn't happen. You squeeze too tight. It doesn't work. When you let go and you just do the thing because you love doing it, you're going to do the best work, which is going to get you all the rewards. So it always comes down to process. And that's why Kendrick's a legend. He knows that.
Yeah, it's literally the same exact thing in slightly different words that I tell my athletes. Is like, it's like, this is going to sound counterintuitive because you want the results so bad. If you want to give yourself the best chance of getting the result, you got to let go of it. And because what's going to get you to the result is you doing your best all the fucking time. In order for you to do your best all the fucking time, you got to be present. You got to be immersed. And you have to just be focused, like you said, like spot on. Like, you got to fall in love with the process of becoming. of you got to fall in love with the journey. Every day, every failure, every like mini win is all part of the lore. And the lore is the what defines the journey, what eventually gets you to that outcome. So just yeah, just really well said, and so funny to see these similarities, or not funny, but just cool to see these similarities like in different performance domains, whether it's music, sports, whatever have you.
Do you know the story about how Van Halen got signed?
No.
I don't know if this is like, some urban myth or what, but the story, as I understand it, is that Van Halen was playing some like gig in LA to an empty room, and there were like two guys at the bar, and they just blew the roof off that place, played like they were playing a, sold out stadium. And it just happened that the two guys sitting at the bar in this like empty club were record execs. And we're like, those guys, sign them now. So if they were phoning it in that day, if they're like, oh, there's no one here, this sucks, and they're just droopy, and they're not giving it their all, they wouldn't have become Van Halen. But the fact that they had this stage, it doesn't matter how many people are here, we're gonna give it everything we've got. We're gonna rock the shit out of these two guys sitting in the back of the room. That was the thing that got him the deal. So yeah, whether the story is apocryphal or not doesn't matter. The lesson is there. It's like you gotta treat every opportunity like that, and you gotta love every step of the way, and you gotta always send it, because you never know who's watching. You never know when something's gonna lead to something else, especially in my line of work. But even in sports, it's like, you gotta love the every step of the way, whatever league you're in now. If you're trying to get to the next one, if you're playing in JUCO, trying to transfer to D1 or something, like, you still gotta love that competition no matter where you're at.
Well, folks, by now it should be abundantly clear. Take a cigarette.
A cigarette.
Hey, right now. Yeah, it should be abundantly clear that if you have these big dreams and aspirations, and we all do, whether we admit it or not, there's oftentimes this feeling of, well, you know what? That's really far away. And some people are just built different, and it's true. I couldn't cover DK Metcalf to save my life. But
can you imagine?
At the same
Can you imagine one snap of that?
Yeah, it's like you're always talking with your boys, like, could you make one first down in the NFL? And it's like,
No.
Everybody says yes, and it's probably no. But also, point being that these people are not fundamentally different than you. They just found their role, and they found the skills, experience, abilities that fit their part of the equation of this like symphony of performance, whether it's a concert or a game or whatever domain you might be in. And so we want you to turn this episode off knowing that you can get that level of mastery. If Dan's story isn't enough inspiration, out of what will be. It's just a matter of doing the skills, doing the training, being present in that, focusing on the process until you create the ridges in your brain so that now it just comes naturally to you. You create flow and mastery and being present as a second nature for you. And that allows you to be yourself, express yourself, resonate with that, and attract all the opportunities that you wanted so bad, but you actually had to let go of for them to come back around. I mean, I think this is, again, the best episode that we've had. The guy we had on last week was pretty sick, but this probably tops it. And we just want to thank you again, dude, for sharing the experience and, man,
Truly,
for having a good time.
a truly exemplary mindset. Like, really, just like you've got there, whether it's informally trained or not, like so much of what you said here is just like how you should think about performance, and like hopefully that people are taking that. But I don't know, I guess that this is what podcasts do. Dan, any upcoming shows you want to plug?
I don't have all the dates in front of me, but yeah, we got our fall tour is just about to get started. So we'll be around the U.S. and we got a Canada run in October. But then we're just gearing up for next year. This record's coming out. I believe Gavin's album is coming out next week. I think August 18th, I want to say. Yeah. Yeah. So be on the lookout for that for sure. But if you see us coming to town, yeah, come on out. Put on the show for you.
Colorado Springs on August 22nd. I do know that one.
Yeah, let's go.
Everyone check out probably gavinadcockmusic.com or something. Go check out the tour dates.
All right. Well, as always, if you want to support the Northstar method in a no-cost way to you, you can follow on Instagram at Northstar Method. See the clips in case you can't watch the whole episode. Give us a follow, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. And we will see you next week.
Love y'all. Peace.